Hello, founders. Welcome to Startups.com. We are live. A real special show for you today. And my main man, one of my favorite founders that I've worked with, I use his products all the time, Doug, he's been joining us. And I'll let him introduce himself in just a moment. But before we continue, I want to just take care of a few things to get us going on the show. If you're here joining us and you are ready to ask a question, put in your question right away. Just type in the question. We'll prioritize it, get Doug in on the action. He's a founder. He helps startups. We got a lot of good things going on. We're going to crack his brain open, get all his wisdom. Feel free to ask a question about anything. As we have the discussion and talk, if you have questions that come to mind, let us know your questions as well. Again, we are going to prioritize them. We're happy to answer. That being said, just wanted to share that this show, Startups.com Live, is brought to you by us. Welcome to Startups.com Live. We have a podcast called Startup Therapy. And I love this podcast because that's the reason I joined Startups.com, was listening to this podcast. This is a podcast where our founder and CEO, Will Schroeder, and founding partner, CMO, Ryan, they sit and they talk and they give a no BS conversation about all the things that founders don't talk about that, might be taboo subjects or sensitive topics such as emotional stuff, capacity, the truth about exits, raising investment capital. If you look, you've got all these different topics. We talk about the kids, evolution of workers, assume everyone will leave in year one. Was mortgaging my life worth it? Who talks about that stuff? You just don't even hear founders talk about it because you're too busy reading TechCrunch and all the great stories and all those good things. But that's okay. We want to have those conversations with you, and that's what this community is all about. Here we go. Doug, for everybody here, introduce yourself, give your background, who you are, what you do. Who are you?
It's great to be here. Ed, I'm a big fan of Startups.com. I think I've been a member almost for like 2 years now, paid member, and just get a tremendous amount of value from the program. I have a startup. I'm co-founder in TimeBolt, and we make a video editing software that rapidly cleans up long format video and takes out a lot of the filler and content that can make video unnecessarily long. And we've been at it for about 4.5 years, located in St. Louis, Missouri. And we have around almost 10,000 customers. It's a bootstrap startup, which is we're doing pretty well on that end, and getting between 70 to 80 downloads a day. So we've got things coming along.
I'm curious a bit about your background. I don't think I've ever asked you, what were you doing before this, and what made you decide that you wanted to become a startup founder?
It's an easy one. I was in startups for 12 to 15 years. I've only had a W-2 paying job for like 2, and they were all in some form of video production, robotic camera productions, worked to build a first live EDM TV network by installing robotic camera systems in top 100 nightclubs. And that included like Mansion Miami and Exchange LA, pretty lengthy background in production technologies. And I was actually looking to get a job, and I wanted on LinkedIn, I just wanted to be able to present more confident and persuasive in video. I had sold enterprise video platforms for the previous year prior to that to Fortune 1000 companies. And I really got to see how internal video was impactful, both in changing culture, communications as a whole within companies. And so as I was looking, I just wanted to be able to look like the people I saw and watched on YouTube. And particularly Harry Stubbings he has a podcast that I just would listen to these podcasts, and I was like, I will never be that smart, talk that sophisticated, because it's like they never even had to stop to breathe, right? And so then I was on LinkedIn, and this is 2019, okay? And I've already been in video for quite some time. 2019, there is a gentleman named Walker Reynolds, and he was the first one I ever saw on LinkedIn. All of a sudden I saw this jump cut. It was like, you didn't have time to think, and it was just like a continuous flow of information. I was like, well, there you go. That's what I need to do. I opened up my first video and I'm like, hey, I'm going to do these jump cuts. And I'm about 20 minutes into an hour-long video and still have another 4 hours worth of cutting to do. And I was like,
takes forever.
Really, my first time doing it, I was like, holy crap, this takes freaking forever. And this was in 2019, it was just YouTubers suffering in silence, right? And so I just started looking, and you could see on user forums, I was like, wow, you can see the gap. So why can't there be a software that goes in and cuts out based on the gaps? That would have to save people incredible amounts of time. Started looking and seeing the user forums were full of customers and people asking for needing ways to do quick jump cuts. And from that point, still looking for a job, still looking to be persuasive. What they don't tell you after founding startups your whole life, you're unhireable. Okay. Unless you have a big exit, right?
Totally true.
Was my life worth mortgaging it? That's why I was kind of smiling when when I saw that article. I mean, hell, you have to ask me in like 10 years. From that point, I developed a brand, Time Bolt, and I was like, look, I'm going to show employers what I could do. Developed a Time Bolt brand, made some, video animations and stuff like that. And then lo and behold, 4 months down the line, 5 months down the line, I found a guy that was actually working, Quinston Pimenta, who's my co-founder now for 4.5 years. He put up a product on Product Hunt and some really early version. I was like, holy crap, this does what we're looking to. And so I had already had a history of creating, having co-founders and the things can go right and wrong and raising almost $500,000 in capital. I saw this as an opportunity. Hey, look, why don't we partner up? I'll handle the marketing distribution. You handle the product development. And so let's see if we can get some buyers. And that's kind of how Time Bolt started. And we came to market for the first time December 2019.
Okay, hang on a second. I didn't hear this story before. We got to unpack this here.
Sure.
You're basically saying that it was blind luck. You were working on the problem and you legitimately did the founder thing. You were exploring it. I would dare to say your MVP was your first brand and putting out the unique value proposition and kind of setting that up. But then you stumble upon a coding guy who's trying to solve the same problem as you. And then bam, now you two are co-founders. You have a successful startup. That's what happened?
Well, yes. I mean, what's nice is sales solves a lot of problems. And if you're not making sales and some other stuff, problems can exist. So I'd already kind of it wasn't just something I knew. We were going to get married and we'd had to, you're basically forming a marriage contract, right? So we took things slow and it was like, hey, I've already got the brand developed, Time Bolt, and his was like silence detection or something. And so the logo, the brand, the messaging, let's plug this thing in, see if we can get it going. We probably spent the first year and a half getting it ready. And it was just like the first one was on Gumroad. I sold cars for Jim Butler Kia while I was moonlighting. You can go on YouTube. That's I'm talking about the Kia K5. I mean, I'm like trying to make marketing videos as a dude selling cars.
That's amazing.
We were able to build up, going from like 5 to 10 new signups a day, like, just downloads and a couple new customers a day to getting 7 or 8 and getting our monthly recurring revenue up there until I could quit selling cars and dedicate full time towards Time Bolt. And he had other projects too, right?
Sure.
Like developers that are worth their salt are going to have multiple projects going on. It really becomes, can you sell this product? Can you build enough marketing? And can you lead to people to want to quit their job or quit every other project they've got going on and dedicate themselves?
Okay, let's break this off into like a little segment to help all the people who are going to be watching this, because I think we've hit a really interesting topic of discussion. How would you advise other founders who are non-technical on how, when they find someone technical, to woo them over and say, let's be co-founders? Because I'm assuming that you two are pretty much equal partners now. Is that the configuration?
Yes.
So he's a talented developer, obviously has enough gumption to put something out there, develop an MVP. A lot of those technical co-founders or co-founders in general who have the ability to build something are going to say, no, you know what? I'm good myself. I'm going to make a go of it. You went and you convinced him, hey, we're better together. Let's do a partnership and be co-founders. What advice would you give based on what you did to other non-technical founders to do the same thing?
Show that you know how to market a technology. Everything from what you name the company to what your URL is. Today, marketing is so much about multimedia as well. And so especially if you're selling a video product, it helped very much that I had a portfolio of projects that I've worked on. I've sold into enterprise markets with enterprise video platforms. I was able to bring experience to the table that I wouldn't have been able to at 25, 26 years old. Finally, all that work that I had put in over the 10 years while I couldn't get hired was enough to hire a co-founder with me. At first, the idea was, hey, maybe I'll buy this technology from you for like $10,000. That would not have worked. Yeah. I mean, it takes a very special person to quit everything that they're doing and dedicate your life towards a project. So I would say give it time and show up to the table with your best marketing package and what you're capable of and get off on the right foot.
Yeah, let me add to that. A lot of times, non-technical founders come and ask me, how do I convince this technical person to become a co-founder? You have to bring skills to the table that they do not have. And typically that has to do with monetization, has to do with sales. Because when I talk to founder teams and I look at them and someone is technical, I say, you build the product and try to talk to users, but build the product. And if you're non-technical, you are in sales. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But wait a second, I have the vision and the strategy. No. You're in sales right in the beginning. And so you busting your tail, selling Kia, doing all that. Great brand, by the way. Korean brand. Love it. Support it, right? But you're showcasing your things and you bring a complementary skill set and it makes that technical person say, man, now I've got someone who can help me be successful doing the things that I maybe don't want to do or don't think I can do. I can focus on what I'm good at. Match made in heaven. You made it work. You spent time together. And then through the traction, what I heard is by getting that initial traction, both of you were encouraged enough to say, all right, I'm going to quit my job. I sold enough cars. We got enough traction. Let's go all in on it. And then 2019, and we're talking 4 or 5 years later, it's a successful business, making money, all these things. It's fantastic. That's what I'm hearing.
That's what it was. And it was really about baby steps. I mean, there's plenty of resources about what you should want out of your co-founder. For me personally, it is that I've just all really value about Quinston. Besides, he's just super smart. He knows how to do everything. And he understands that there's a threshold. So many people talk about like minimum viable product. You might get with a co-founder that is overseas, and maybe because they don't speak perfect English, they think that the only thing that's missing out of their repertoire is just knowing how to speak English, and that's like what you bring. There was never a point where it was like putting the onus on our customer to purchase or on sales to go out and sell something that we didn't already have and could demonstrate well. I've always felt very fortunate where that pressure to sell something that doesn't exist yet, our minimum viable product, was actually a great product. He's always made sure that I've had good technology to sell.
Excellent pairing, and that's where everybody doing their strengths really helps out. If you can set up a pitch to a potential co-founder in any domain expertise to cover anything, and you can envision being a better team together, and you trust each other, you got to build that trust, and it leads to sales. Well, I think that's a match made in heaven. So congratulations, kudos to you. That's great for making that work. Next question for you then. You said you have 10,000 paying customers right now, right?
Cumulative, yeah, correct.
Yeah,
almost.
Okay. So that's enough to keep getting bootstrapped. Have you thought about raising investment? What are your thoughts? Do you plan to raise more money, or are you just happy with where it is? What's your thought on the funding?
That's something where I feel like in this environment, you have to attract funding. Like just like dating. I mean, I could say I'm dating, right? And I want to, but like you've got to attract that to you. And that just takes having your life together, your finances and, exes and all that put together in a nice package and handled. I think that in order to raise capital, I think we're at a point that it's possible, but I enjoy the experience of getting out there and now pitching Time Bolt as an investment, but particularly because all these investors and all the people I'm pitching in the business are also potential customers.
Oh, yeah.
They're all like, I can't lose. Like, if I just do a good pitch, I can get up and make it, to some of these further down rounds, and I inevitably end up selling more Time Bolt. And I believe that also these pitch competitions and things are going to help us as we continue to try and get traction inside the B2B market. So I think that funding would help if we were able to find quality advertising where this proverbial put $1 in and you get $5 back actually happened, right? But that means you got to have all the right tracking analytics. It's talking between all the platforms. And then obviously it's like the creative, right? Without the idea, without the great creative, you're not going to get somebody to stop their scroll. I believe that once we can kind of get to that point, I think that will help accelerate our growth. If you can find what that data flywheel looks like. And then also it's, we're focused right now on a computer. Like, the editors have to have a computer in order to edit the video. This isn't like a TikTok editor where you're adding whiz bang, as you put. I love that word.
Yeah, not mobile.
But funding, if you move from a desktop software to also a mobile app, which we believe there's big opportunities to do that with our particular technology.
Yeah.
If somebody came in and offered us the right terms and we were able to dictate the best terms, as far as founders go, I think that would be something we would look at.
And you're going to get the best terms when you have that traction. I love the approach, because the best time to raise funding is when you don't need funding, but you could use funding to put gasoline on the fire and to spike your growth and your traction, maybe expand and get more market share. But right now, you're not facing any runway issues. It's not like you're going to have to shut everything down next month, 3 months down the road. You've got very good velocity. Therefore, it's okay to poke out there. And eventually, once you start, maybe get some industry news, you start showing a lot more traction. You figure out things, like you said, a customer acquisition cost. Investors are going to be contacting you. Absolutely. And I also think, and we've talked about this before, that I think some of the bigger companies like Adobe, they're going to be contacting you. Canva might be contacting you and saying, hey, we already see that you've got all these customers in the marketplace. You built a great brand, got a great product. We can infuse it in and hit the ground running versus have to figure it out all on our own. I think you're in a really good spot. And I think that's something that all founders should consider. Like you said, attract the investors, make them come to you versus you going to them with your hand out, looking desperate. Power dynamic is all wonky, things like that. What advice would you also give to other founders in terms of just how do you get that traction? Like, what's the mindset that you're in to start developing so you can attract the investor?
I'm unhireable, and it's either this wins or I'll jump in front of a train. It's the guys who don't talk about it that you want you to worry about, right? I think when we first started, we just got so lucky with this because I was able to go in and validate without doing 1,000, phone calls. I was able to validate online just through research that this was a big problem. And I was able to do that by looking at user forums. For TimeBolt, it was user on Adobe, on Reddit, on multiple forums, just complaining about how long it takes. Is there any tool that cuts out dead air out of long format video? And so I didn't start posting to these forums. I didn't start engaging with them. I didn't say, oh, I have an idea, because you just waste it all. So what I did was after we built the website and we got our first product, I had a list of like 12 forums, dude, like just 12 of them. Adobe's one of them. There's my stuff still up there. And that I went and posted, put the link back to the website. And so what happened was I got really good link value from the posts. I got validation from the people that were in those posts that, there was like other solutions that they tried. People start saying, oh shit, this TimeBolt thing really works. And so that started building. And so not only did I was able to reach those communities, I also had the link juice to come back. So then in 2019 up to 2022, if you looked up automate jump cuts or remove silences automatically, we're the first ones to show up. I mean, still are. But obviously, there's been something that happened in between that's called AI. So,
well, we'll talk about that in just a moment.
Talk about that in a little bit.
I want to reiterate to the founders that are watching this how important what Doug said is in terms of, we call it community hacking, customer discovery, idea validation via community hacking is important. If you can find an online community and you can clearly identify that they have that pain and you could slip into there and start having those conversations. Talking to a founder the other day, and he's doing sort of this Airbnb for golf carts, right? In these golf cart communities. And where do you go? All online, where people are talking about golf carts and this and that. And then bam, he puts out one post and gets 40 signups right away to his website. So now he's got cause and effect because he's picked the right community instead of just putting something out in the ether. Doug, you're not out there just posting on your LinkedIn, hey, try my stuff, remove spaces using TimeBolt. You went to the community that were complaining about this and you said, I've got a solution for you. And that's, it just, bam, like A leads to B, leads to C. That was your secret. And I think all founders need to learn how to navigate the communities online and hack those communities for that traffic. What do you think?
I think so. I was quite frankly shocked that a couple of these communities like Adobe and Camtasia, like they just let us put our stuff on there. Like they don't just allow all spam, they will moderate you, right? So it was like they let us direct people right straight to our website, and it was extremely helpful.
Why do you think that is? Because I'm thinking it's because you are helping the community, you're contributing value, and you're doing something that they weren't doing. I think that's the reason they let you coexist.
Yes. I don't know how long they knew what was coming up, but they certainly let us coexist and push traffic to us. And actually, we took meetings with Camtasia took our meeting, and so did DaVinci Resolve as we were creating native integrations. Adobe's Premiere is very difficult to get a hold of. But I mean, through this community, I met the 20-year product manager at iMovie. That was so unexpected.
That was awesome.
It's like full circle. This guy's looking at my website. I'm like, do you understand how bizarre this is?
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so let's talk about something else. Let's talk about AI. Let's talk about finding that niche because, Doug, I think TimeBolt is a fantastic example of how you didn't try to solve all the problems all at once. You didn't try to create a new video editing tool. You didn't try to create the next AI, Gen AI, just upload your video, we'll edit it for you. You solved a very particular problem, established a beachhead. It was this gap, which is automating jump cuts. And I can say without a shadow of doubt, and this is a full endorsement, I will shout it from the rooftops. I use TimeBolt, and we use TimeBolt for these videos. I use TimeBolt for everything now, recording, for editing, everything, because it does the one thing better than any other software, and that is automate the jump cuts. And the jump cuts are so elegant. It looks like an editor actually went in and moved the frames, moved the audio, and it's all done automatically. It's insane how efficient it is. And I tell people I get my videos done in 10% of the time because they ask me, they say, how are you so prolific in your content creation? I say I have to be efficient, so I use the tools and I go with my strengths, and I just do these talking head videos, and then Timebolt makes me sound like a genius, cuts everything out. I teach my editor, all my editors have to learn how to use Timebolt, right? So you found this niche. What's your advice to other founders based on your experience to find that niche? Stop trying to solve for everything. Find that one thing that you can get a foothold in and show some traction.
Like I just think I think some of it's just luck. I mean, I was going through, I mean, I remember driving down the freaking road, just thinking to myself, I'm like, hold on a second, there really is this big problem. I've been doing startups my whole time. Damn, this really could be something big, and then I start looking at the applications for enterprise and government that needs secure. I think where we also lucked out is it was a strategic decision that Quinston made early on. And that is that we are not like a web service. Okay. You don't upload your video to Timebolt. You process it locally as a local app on your computer. So, I mean, I think our Amazon bill is like $9.99 a month,
That's
like
awesome.
before we put some other things on, which we're getting paid for, but like, that just means that I didn't have to raise more capital or take six, they have these great credits for startups, like on Amazon, you get $60,000 worth of credits. Well, what I would hate to do, and those have a finite time. What I would have hate to have done was had to, in the first year or two, apply for those credits and then, not even need them because you're still scaling up. But then when you really need them, they're gone.
Yeah,
And so
and you're paying cash.
Yeah, and you're paying cash. And so that's where I think when it comes to like raising capital, it costs a lot of money. I can only imagine what our competitors are paying
Oh,
in product and storage costs and running AI in the cloud. It's got to be substantial.
AI
And we have
compute.
none of that.
Yeah, it's gobbling up all the energy. They need nuclear energy now. But let's isolate some of the principles here, teach it all together, because I think you're being very humble. I appreciate your humility, saying I think it was just luck. It wasn't luck, Doug. You actually went and put in the work to research, and you made sure it was validated first. You weren't relying on luck, because so many founders go out there and just say, build it, they will come, and maybe I'll get lucky and I actually solve the problem that everybody else wants to solve. You validated the problem. So you are a research hound. You made sure that that was something that existed in the marketplace. It was a pain that people wanted to get solved, not just something for you, because you could easily went out and paid a developer saying, I want to solve the problem for myself, and nobody else would have wanted it. So that's the first thing. You research like crazy. You're obsessed with the problem. That's what I love about you. Here's the second thing you did, Doug, is you took a contrarian bet. And I love this because you said, all right, everybody's going on to the cloud. What if we didn't do this? And this is where your co-founder steps in and say, let's do something local. And I tell you, I appreciate that as well. I don't have to wait. I don't have to work on bandwidth, anything along those lines. It's fast because it's right there on my computer. It's an amazing thing. And you got some other things that I can access online, but you create this hybrid environment that's contrarian to what other people are doing. And I think that is all coming together. You created your own fortune. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. Hopefully it's just a matter of awareness. And, making videos still isn't a whole bunch of fun, but it becomes a lot easier once you can do it in less time than it takes to record, where you can like be happy with the output that you share with either one person or 1,000, right? Or you're hoping 1,000. The faster, you can't say that if it's going to take you 2 to 3 times as long to make something, that it doesn't impact, when you're talking in terms of hours, it doesn't impact how much video you make. And if it's whether you're saving 5 times, it takes 5 times as long or 3 times as long, that's a whole lot different world than if it takes less time. That it's going to take you less time than it took to record this. So for example, this particular exchange, we could take out all the ums and ahs relatively quickly within 17 seconds, 2 minutes to 17 seconds. But then being able to go in and chop it all up and just really fine tune is also very fast. And the advantage of having a native app on your computer, it's like driving a car versus playing a video game driving a car.
Yeah. But also what you did, we're talking about the coexisting is, and I experienced this firsthand, is you weren't trying to replace Adobe Premiere, And so I've used Timebolt to process stuff a lot faster versus manually in Adobe Premiere. And then I brought things into Adobe Premiere to add all the whiz bangs and what have you, right? So now you've created this environment where everything can work together. But then interestingly enough, I stopped using Adobe Premiere. I literally tested it. I said, I'm going to put up a video just edited with Timebolt without all the whiz bangs. And I'm going to do another video where I add all the whiz bangs. And lo and behold, they perform the same. And I said to myself, why am I killing myself adding whiz bangs when I can just use Timebolt and communicate a very clear message? So you didn't go right after the competition. You went adjacent to competitors and you found this little niche to exist in, and that's what's getting you all your users. And I'm sure users are telling you this as well. They use Timebolt in conjunction with other things, or they use Timebolt just unto themselves.
Yes, the fact that we are not looking to replace these video editors, even AI, okay? It's amazing how accurate, how much of the accuracy issues get solved when 35% of all the non-human sounds and dead air are removed from a timeline, that it has to go through and decipher and figure out which word lands at what hundredth of a millisecond. Once that stuff is gone, all of a sudden captions become very simple. And even like free captions that you can get become extremely accurate and usable once your video timeline is all cut up. In many instances, especially when it comes to CapCut, we're the only video editor that you're actually paying for.
Yes. And that's fantastic where, again, you're just positioning yourself properly, take advantage of these niches. And to all the founders out there, the riches are in the niches. I say this all the time. You got to start off in a niche, get your traction, get your foothold in there. Like Facebook went to Harvard, we're going to dominate Harvard, and then we're going to go Stanford, and then we're going to go MIT. We're just doing colleges right now, and then now Facebook is this behemoth that's doing AI, AR, virtual reality, you name it. That's where Timebolt is going to go, and I know your products is going to evolve over a period of time. Fantastic. Yeah.
I also wanted to bring up when we were asking about like growth levers and how this kind of came to be. What I would recommend to all startups is that, I mean, obviously you say listen to your customers, okay? Like that's not a big thing. But what's interesting is that when we had, like for gamers, for example, these guys were going from spending 5 hours, and they're all competitive. There's only so many eyeballs that watch live game stream or recorded game streams on YouTube, but they save so much time that they didn't want to tell anybody about it. Right. Like it's a competitive advantage. Many of the YouTubers, like for the first couple years, it was like even YouTubers are like, I didn't really want to make this video. I kind of feel like I'm letting the cat out of the bag, but because of how much time is saved. So while it's hard sometimes if you have a great product to get people to actually talk about, especially if it's like a big time advantage and people are competitive, but they'll help you build it. And gamers helped us build Timebolt. YouTubers helped us build Timebolt. And we took that energy and we put it into a weekly live office hours. And we're like, hey, every week we have customers call in. We do a live Zoom. We can talk about their workflows, any issues that they're having that, aren't solved in support. And then you're actually able to have good content with all your support topics now indexed and searchable on YouTube that show people using your product. And it's an organic way to grow. That's been very successful to us.
So another hack lever, as you call it, you built a community, you got your group involved. I'm working with another founder right now, and he's building an app to help people start junk removal businesses, right? And if you know this founder, shout out to him. We're gonna unveil him later on. But I told him, involve your community. And now he's doing exactly what you're doing. We're involving the users, the subscribers who want to start using a software, and he's pre-selling it and he's getting their feedback. And that's what investors want to see. If you can involve your community and your users, and they are rabid fans, evangelists for you, and they're contributing to the development of your product, you build that community. Like, how big is that community now? How many people are actively participating and contributing for you?
Well, I mean, we've had 43,000 downloads in 4.5 years. So, and that's registered. I mean, you could literally go online, look a link, and not even give us your email address and stuff like that. We ask people to do that because we do have updates and things like that, especially like there's a lot of people that just use Timebolt for free and share the link. But as far as the community for us is more about how do we pull people in to specific points in time, like a weekly live office hours where we can utilize our product, be able to show customers asking questions, the reactions to using Timebolt. So it's like all these kind of free, good or bad. You can come in and badmouth Timebolt and do it, say you suck, whatever, right? But that typically doesn't happen. But the ability to then recapture that content and cut it up and then repurpose it for people that the point is you don't even want them to have to talk to you. Tell you the truth. I mean, it's great when you meet new customers and stuff like that, but you want to just fit in with their lives so well that they don't even have to talk to you. They can immediately start getting that benefit.
And none of these people are coming to you saying, "Where's the AI? How come you're not building an AI editor?" You're solving that problem directly for them. And I think that's the lesson for companies that are competing or trying to compete against AI. Find that niche. Find that little gap that AI is not looking at or is costing so much money and the innovation is like years down the road. Solve that one problem. And as Doug has proven, you will get community. You will get fans like me who evangelize your product and your brand and sell on your behalf. You have an affiliate program, which I enjoy. I get a nice little bump mailbox money every now and then, which is great. And that's another thing. You involve your community in actually distributing Time Bolt and selling. How's that working out for you?
Excellent. I mean, that's still one of our primary drivers of revenue, and a lot of it's also recurring revenue that's coming from these guys. But that was extremely effective in the beginning. It still is extremely effective. We have amazing affiliates. What we've seen though is that there's really ever since 2022 when AI came in and really sucked all the air out of the room, everybody just moved to, hey, click 3 buttons and you're edited. You'll never have to edit again, over and over and over and over again. And it's like even people that use, even the editors that use AI, they'll like get in there like 8 person, like the top, Final Cut guys that have their own channels, and then they get back in their live Zoom calls, and they're like, yeah, I still use Time Bolt. I use Time Bolt. With
That's
after they
awesome.
just said click 3 buttons and never have to do anything again. A lot of times now it's like I think people are just worn out by the
Yeah,
idea of,
the
hey, because
promise.
it just hasn't delivered in
Yeah.
that way. And it ruins credibility when you're out saying these things, because maybe it worked for you to throw your video in there and you just say, okay, I go up here and I click remove filler, and then I go remove the dead air, and then it does it for me. Okay, but what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to go hand that project off to your editor now? Okay, because that editor is going to be going through that timeline and figuring out all the places that you got words cut off, you got the back end of sentences cut off, it thought one thing and cut another. And so it leaves you cleaning up that mess, and it'll take you less time than doing it by hand, but you will still spend 2 to 3 times as long doing it than is necessary. And so we get the disenfranchised now. Instead of people going in and saying, how do I automatically remove silence? Like they're looking up, how do I use AI? We're getting the guys that are like, wait a second, I'm still going through and having all this extra manual work. And so that's where it is incumbent upon us to come up with really creative advertising. That's probably, a little autistic. That's my friend, my co-founder said that last ad was just enough to autistic. It might actually work. And, and, and so being able to craft that and really position ourselves against AI. So hopefully there's a second wave.
That's super smart. Okay, here's the next question for you. This is a thesis that I've been developing in that I believe all founders should become creators. And I'm not saying become influencers. I'm not saying go run around the clubs, buy a Lamborghini and show off and put all these kitschy posts online. And I'm not saying become a creator, don't go Mr. Beast and have the everyone gets in a circle, last person to leave gets $1 million, things like that, just for content creation's sake. I'm saying be a creator and extend your brand online. And they have this hashtag out there. I believe it's like building in public or building upfront or something along those lines, where talks about these entrepreneurs and they're working on their startups in front of an audience. So they're very transparent. Here's what I'm working on. And I think that's the future, that we want to know who the founders are. We want to know people who are developing products. I buy products from people. And even though they're great product, if I know who they are and I know some of their story, it just endears me to them, makes me more loyal to their brand. I think that founders need to be doing more things where they are talking and they're putting out a video. And even if it hits like 10 people, I would travel across town to do a sales presentation to 10 people. So if 10 people are watching my video, I'm not going to be depressed. Those are 10 potential customers who actually clicked on my video to watch it. That's my thesis right now. What are your thoughts on founders becoming creators?
I think if you're not voluntarily wanting to get into being a creator, you're going to be forced into it. Even the competitions that you apply for, if you're going for trying to raise capital, what's the first thing they all do? They say, submit a 1 or 2 minute pitch video. One of the Startup World Cup competition, which we won first place for direct to consumer in the St. Louis regional finals, and then competed last month. You had to make a video to even be on that stage. So everyone there could have used Time Bolt for making their video. And so what I think when people get on camera, they feel like they have to practice so hard because the video they watch is so crisp, so clean. They want to be like the video they watch. And so I think when you find the right type of tool that focuses on the right thing, I believe you can pull that creative spirit out of you. When you realize you can open up your phone, walk around, talk for 2 minutes, cut it down into something that's 40 seconds, or you can mess up on something and then just stop, breathe, and then restart. And when that stuff becomes very simple to cut out, you don't have to put up so much time into the prep work. You can be more spontaneous on the spot, but yet still be presentable and speak at the right words per minute to hold attention online, which is extremely hard.
I like what you said, Doug, is, you may not want to mess with becoming a creator and a brand online, but the creator economy and branding online is going to come mess with you. That's what's going to happen. Your competition is going to do it. And more, for example, you saw this new innovation with Google Notebook LM doing the podcast, and literally will read your stuff and two voices will create a podcast for you. And it's audio, sounds absolutely authentic, went viral, this past weekend. So then what's the next thing to compete with that? Well, guess what it's going to be? It's going to be video podcasts. So you're not going to accept that until AI becomes so good that it can scan you and just create a video of you, which we're so far away from that. The only way to compete now in podcasting is to have some sort of video to it, right? And people might not watch the video, but they want to know that it exists, and maybe they'll see some clips, some advertising, they'll see a little tidbit of it on YouTube or TikTok somewhere, and then they'll subscribe to the podcast. Maybe you'll upload it. LinkedIn is getting into video. So video is going to be a thing, and all your competitors are going to be putting out video. So what are you going to do? You're going to say, no, I'm not going to participate, take your ball and go home. You have to get into this game. And that's what you and I are both predicting, is that this is going to be a trend for the future.
Absolutely. Like what we're doing right now is making video that's going to be distributed. And so we didn't sit down. There's a big difference between making a brand video, a 15-second brand video that you're going to turn into a GIF that shows product shots and all that kind of stuff, versus conversation and, content that can be searched and indexed, and difference between like doing and talking. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be, I already know it. It's the most important thing that you can do today if you want to be seen and be relevant online.
And that's what's going to help develop those parasocial relationships, because now with video, it's kind of like people get to see us. So we got people in the audience, and it's like I'm in the room with Ed and Doug having a conversation. Or as I'm sitting across from you, it's like I can feel like I'm sitting in your room together and we're having a conversation, versus a teleconference. And I know there's such thing as Zoom fatigue, and I get it, mostly because I think those meetings are extremely boring and pointless altogether. But to be able to recreate those types of relationships that we normally wouldn't have unless I was living in St. Louis or you were in Canada, I think that video is going to be one of the differentiators, or it's going to be sort of the thing that evens the playing field for founders to say, I'm not a Kim Kardashian. I can't hire Kim Kardashian. I can't build a brand like that, but I can be authentic and talk on a video and allow someone to experience me in this format. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes. Do you do something interesting, or are you saying something interesting? Right. I've always kind of worked with that distinction, but actually with Timebolt, like I've got a dog that I strap my GoPro Hero 4. And because it's a linear timeline, I just don't detect any sound, and I'm able to go through and chop up like a Ginsu because it's so fast with the timeline with just some keys. You can definitely edit GoPro action video faster than any other editor on planet Earth with Timebolt. I just find it very assuring when you go to make a video that you just want to be like the video you watch. And there's so much pressure. Like I said, if you don't know where to begin, start with how long is it? That's the first thing we look at after somebody sends us a video. How long is it? It's the x-axis. And if you can control that, you control the timing, you can make things better than real life. I guarantee you, after you cut this video down, if you were to put this entire segment on here, you're going to be able to cut 15 minutes out of a very dynamic conversation just because it's live. Right? You have this expectation to respond, but online you don't. It's just you staring at a computer screen. So you got to keep it fast.
Fantastic. Okay, Doug, I don't know if you have that ready. I wanted you to demo for everyone here in this video your pitch for the St. Louis competition. You got that handy, and I wanted you to share it, present it, and then I wanted to kind of unpack your experience with it, maybe some best practices for other founders that are potentially entering pitch competition, because you worked very hard. Like, you kept coming to our open pitch practices and you kept refining. You got that ready to go to show us?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Anytime that you're ready, we are here for it.
Let me just get set up real quick.
Test one, test
There we go. Words are hard, videos are performance, and we built software to rapidly cut out all the stuff that makes you hate the sound of your own voice in video. Dead air, mic strikes, coughs, ums, ahs, and it's called
Time bolt.
Time bolt.
Time bolt. Time bolt.
Time bolt.
Time bolt.
Dans la machine time bolt.
Time bolt.
Time bolt.
Time bolt.
Time bolt.
Time bolt. Time bolt.
Time bolt.
Time bolt.
Time bolt.
Time bolt is so dope, y'all.
I trust him, okay? The problem is, like photographs, 35% of takes are no good on a timeline. You either cut these out or you get no views. But it's going to take you 5 hours per every hour of video by hand. You're going to burn out before you even start design. And in 2019, when it was just YouTubers suffering in silence, we took edit time from 5 hours down to 17 seconds. You could fully polish a timeline in less than an hour. Then in 2022, AI comes along. It sucks all the air out of the room. They're saying, hey, just push a button and AI will do it all for you. Well, lucky for us, transcripts have big accuracy issues, and it takes 2 to 3 times as long to fix.
The problem is, in every transcript-based editor I've seen, they can cut the silences out for you and the words that you don't want, but the accuracy leaves a lot to be desired. And when you find all these places where a word's cut off, or, gee, I think a whole phrase is missing there, make the clip on the left a little bit longer, make the clip on the right a little bit shorter. Why in the world these AI editors can't figure that out and get it right? Well, that's where Time Bolt comes into play. I realized that I had edited all 3 of those episodes in the same amount of time it usually takes me to edit one.
He goes on to say that he hasn't saved this much time since the invention of the word processor. Even who I call the king of AI, okay, you guys may know Matt Wolf, he has 600,000 subscribers on YouTube, uses Time Bolt.
My favorite quick editing tool is this tool called Time Bolt. This saves me so much time with editing. I love it. I don't think this is technically AI, but if editing is a bottleneck for you in creating videos, this tool is a lifesaver.
Time Bolt uses silence detection, not AI transcriptions, for a base cut that's 20 times more precise, meaning your ends of words aren't getting cut off. There's no sloppy start to cuts. The algorithms run on your computer, so it's expedited, and on top of that, secure. We don't look to compete with other design editors, as we were talking about, Ed. We look to get you into design software faster. Almost 10,000 people have paid us money as a bootstrap startup with little to no advertising, all word of mouth. We have 400 non-sponsored affiliates signed to promote Time Bolt, 31,000 transactions in 4.5 years with 10% month-over-month revenue growth. At 15 million likely users, a lifetime value of $107 ends up at a sizable investable number. We have 257,000 website visits. Of that, 2% is paid traffic, 16 to 20% download, and of those 20% purchase. And as I said, only 2% of that traffic is paid. Of our paid users, we have 1,500 active monthly and annual subscribers, 1,500 lifetime one-time purchases. Check is our hybrid technology. It's pay-per-use because you don't need to check for ums and ahs inside scripted video. You can add any unique word, tick, phrase, and a 95% gross margins because Time Bolt runs on your computer. And once our net hits over 1 million, I'm going to get my first tattoo. Our priorities are a Time Bolt app for phones and iPad. We see big opportunities selling multi-seat licensing to teams. Speed can unlock video at work. I cut our weekly live office hours from 60 into 40 minutes of information-rich material. I throw it into turbo mode so everyone talks 12% faster, with support topics now indexed and searchable on YouTube in less than 60 minutes. I can capture a 10-minute video message in Time Bolt, cut it down into 7, and send it an unlisted link. In a quarter of the time, it's going to take you to write a 5-paragraph email or schedule a live Zoom. And unlike Loom that sold last year for $900 million, it doesn't suck to watch. My name is Doug Wulff, CEO of Time Bolt. I have 15 years in video startups. I spent 3 years selling enterprise video platforms to Fortune 1000 companies. My co-founder, Quincy Pimenta, is the brains behind the technology and has 7,000 subscribers on YouTube. Time Bolt does a lot of cool stuff that I really didn't have time to answer inside of a 4-minute presentation. We solve attention deficit video disorder for work in YouTube and all the time. And there she is.
Fantastic. So what's been the result? You went and you won the regional for B2C or direct consumer app, right?
Consumer.
Yeah. And then you went to the live show where you competed against all the other categories and you came second, if I'm correct.
Well, I mean, I thought Time Bolt saved people a lot of time, okay, until the inventor of a miracle tumor drug got up and won first place. So they only did first place, but we still made the top 10.
Okay, so they took the cake. Obviously, curing cancer editing video. That's going to be
pitch.
Yeah, apples and oranges. But what has been the result of you doing that Like what's been sort of the ripple effect, the fallout, whatever you want to call it?
Well, I mean, obviously recognition within your community and letting people know that you exist in St. Louis. I'm just out in some suburb, you know, in an apartment building this thing.
Sure.
So we got a chance to go to some really nice, like Hush Blackwell hosted a dinner for the top 10 winners and investors. So had a lot of just social opportunities interacting. And what one of the benefits of this show is that they captured it on a multi-camera, you know, they had a multicam setup that was capture great audio, capture the whole presentation. And so what I did was I took that content back. And as you said, Ed, you're like, I think startups should want to present who they are. People want to know who the founders are and what they're thinking of and what they're building. And so we obviously included a lot of numbers in there. And is that smart for us to do? Is it not? We don't really care. We don't know, right? It's just there to be authentic. And we were able to take that content and then cut it up into an advertising short, and which is doing very well for us on YouTube, and then also put the entire presentation online as well, which we're also going to be putting advertising dollars against.
You took advantage of all the assets and the publicity, which is the main reason you do pitch competitions. Very rarely are you going to meet an investor right there, but investors will contact you after they see the results of that, or you, like I've seen founders, they win pitch competition, they win the prize, and then everybody calls them to add on to that round because they know that immediately your value has gone up. So you've taken advantage of that, and I'm sure that's going to be the gift that keeps on giving for you because you've been wise in terms of leveraging the assets for long-term value.
Correct. And I think that next year, this is the first pitch competition that we really participate in. I mean, we did an Arch Grants in 2022. I think this is going to be part of our strategy, of our commercialization strategy. We've got a good pitch. We've got a product that matters to pretty much anybody there. There are a lot of startup founders and VCs, and so I think that this next year is we're gonna apply for some of these much larger competitions and see if we can get some recognition out there. It's free publicity. You just have to put in the time and effort to apply and make sure you deliver up on stage.
100%. Doug, this has been fantastic. I really look forward to spending more time with you. I was looking forward to just recording this and get you out there. For everybody interested in Time Bolt, we actually have a link in the description of this video where you can get a discount courtesy of my relationship with Doug, and he wants to help startup founders get a discount. Full disclosure, I do get a little bit of affiliate commission off of that, and that would be helping me out as well. Encourage you to check it out. Doug, last word to you. What's your invitation for people to connect with you?
Email me at doug@timebolt.io. Join us on the website. We've got live office hours every Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, and you can always catch me at some points on Startups.com and one of your live shows.
We will include all that information so you can connect with Doug at any point in time. That's time for us. Thank you, everybody. We are here every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We got a lot of great guests coming up in the future. I do ongoing pitch deck reviews. And as always, if you're part of the Startups.com community, as Doug is, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate all your support. If you're not, feel free to check us out. Do the YouTube thing. Like, comment, subscribe. We love to hear feedback. That's it for us. Have an awesome day. Thanks again, Doug.
Thank you. Appreciate you.